Should have known.
Okay.
I forgot.
Is a handout that's going to cover most of the stuff that we're talking about. The front page, just disregard. It's from our presentation last Friday that we did in the very same room. And it was more geared towards disruptive student behavior. So if you flip over the first page, then you'll see that it picks up with our academic integrity, academic misconduct information. And that's where
I wasn't in my chair.
oh, that's okay. That's okay. Put these down. Real quickly though, what's on the screen is this academic misconduct defined. I didn't want to insult your all's intelligence because I know that you all know what this means. Just as a brief refresher, that's why it's not in your packet. Academic misconduct, the way our policy is currently worded, with some slight changes coming with new rules, but academic misconduct is rule number 18 right now. Plagiarism, cheating, fabrication, and facilitation. So those are the 4 things that we're looking for you all to send our way if you see them occurring in your classroom. If you can put the other one. I'll switch to this real quick. I want to show you guys real quickly how to, because we ran out of time last. There we go. Okay, perfect. Is we want to also show you all our website because this is the easiest way to refer an academic misconduct case to us. If you have someone in your classroom that you think has plagiarized, cheated, fabricated, or facilitated, then you can come to our website, which is just mtsu.edu/JUDAFF, which is short for Judicial Affairs, but it's JUDAFF. When you come here, you'll see all these fabulous links to the left. You can feel free to browse around and look at any of them, but for today, we want you guys to click on Referrals. And you'll see that we have referrals over here, academic and or behavioral. Since we're just talking about academic today, you guys can click on academic. And up top, you see academic misconduct referrals. You can click here for the form. Tried to make it easy. We've been doing some work on our website this time. We're cleaning it up. And here is the academic misconduct referral form. This is all the information that we need for you guys to send to us. Very important is that M number, because if you give us Jason Jones, Laura and I can already tell you there's about 740 Jason Jones, and it's extremely difficult for us to figure out which one you mean. So you will make sure to put their full name if you have it, middle initial if you have it, M number, their email, address, again if you have it, phone number. Classification is if they're freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, so on and so on. And then this part is for a description of what actually happened. Oftentimes professors will just briefly put something here and then they'll send an attachment that they've typed up, summarizing in detail exactly what occurred. What we also need is we want to know, have you talked to the student, have you met with them? Some professors just send them straight to us. We find it's very beneficial if you say, Jason Jones, I feel like it's possible you might have violated the university's academic misconduct policy, specifically plagiarism. Because of that, I'm going to refer you to Judicial Affairs. Some professors will have one-on-one meetings and discuss and show them. It's up to you what level you're comfortable with, but we do encourage you all to at least let them know. Otherwise, they get an email from Laura or myself, and they are usually very stressed, very anxious. They have no idea what class this is about, what this is in regards to. It just helps make our process a little bit easier. And if you did meet with them, we want to know, what did you guys discuss? Any agreements made? For example, most professors, you all probably have in your syllabus, if you commit academic misconduct and you're found responsible, then you get this grade penalty. The grade penalty is completely up to you all. We don't assign that, dish it out. But if you're in your syllabus, you say that if you commit academic misconduct, it's not that F for the course. That's very helpful to us to include that in the referral form. If it's just a simple grade reduction, so maybe it was a homework assignment, and yeah, they plagiarized the worksheet, but it's a very small percentage of their grade, you're going to allow them to stay in class, but you do want to deduct the point by 10%. Then you most certainly can do that as well. Just let us kind of know what penalty you're assigning, What discussion and agreement did you make? And then just sign and date. Along with this form, we need all the information that you have. So if it's a cheating case, then we need copies of both students' exams. Oh, here you go. We need copies of both students' exams and for you to show us where their answers are identical. If it's plagiarism, don't just say, oh, it's plagiarism, and it's word for word. It helps us in our meetings with students if you can print off and show us where it's word for word from Wikipedia. So print off the Wikipedia site, print off their paper. If you can highlight the text to show us where it matches up, again, it makes the process much more easier on us and just goes quicker, seamless process when we have all of that information together. Those are the things basically in a nutshell that we're looking for. The more information you can give us, the better, because when we have students come in our office, if they say, oh, no, I didn't, and all we have is just a form, then that's not going to really help us. If we can show students proof, here's what we've got, here's the evidence that backs it up, again, it just makes the process go faster for you all and for us. Any questions about how to actually refer? Yeah.
I have a more general question. Is your position, your office, set up to actually make the determination whether academic misconduct occurred? So if I'm not sure, I kind of give it over to you, or how does that
That is a great question, and I'm going to touch upon that in just 1 second. So I want to make sure, though, you guys are clear, because it's excellent, on how to actually refer. Does it make sense? You can pull the form up. We also occasionally have professors who don't want to mess with the form, but basically send us all that information in an email. We're okay with that too. As long as we get the student's name, NIM number, all the same information. If you email Laura directly, myself directly, or the Judicial Affairs email that we have, you can do that too. The form we found just makes it easier for people to print off and fill out. But basically, any of those methods work. You can email us. You can drop it off in person in our office, which is in the KUC, room 128. We're on the very first floor of the Keithley University Center, the basement, the dungeon, whatever you want to call it. We have some affectionate terms of endearment. But we are back behind the mailboxes down from the bookstore. So you can hand it into our secretary. Her name is Lisa Simon. You can turn it into her, and then one of us will get the case, or again, you can do it electronically. Moving on, we want to address what Tom was referencing. If you guys look at your handout, we'll show it on the screen, but you guys can also follow along with what we gave you. And first part, already covered, but got it again. Second part is touching upon what Tom asked, and it's 2 and 3. Am I required to report all cases of academic misconduct? Why can't I just do what I want so the student and not go through our process? This should hopefully kind of answer that. First of all, yes, you're required to report anytime you think it's possible you have a student who might have committed academic misconduct. It's imperative that you report it to our office. And there's several reasons that we talk about why. First of all, it's university policy. You're supposed to. So the instructor should report allegations of academic misconduct to the head. This is taken straight from the Rights and Responsibility Handbook. So part of it is that it's university policy. We often have professors who students get upset with them. I cannot believe you're referring me to Judicial Affairs. I'm just so angry. If they point to policy and say, I'm so sorry, it's not me, I would love to just talk to you about this, but I can't. I'm required by my university, gives me my paycheck, but I have to refer this to Judicial Affairs. Sometimes that's a good way to kind of help calm the student down when they understand you're not trying to be the bad guy, you're doing what's required, what you're supposed to do. Second part is that our office, yes?
Does this include the intent? For example, if a student really didn't know that they were doing something wrong, would it be appropriate for the instructor to sit down and talk with them and say, this is what you did wrong and this is not acceptable? I know this may seem kind of...
No, not at all. That's an excellent question. These are the types of questions we were hoping to get. You guys always have your discretion about what you're going to do with your students. What we recommend, however, is that you still, whether it's intentional or not, still refer those students to our office. And here's why, is that you might have, apparently I'm just going to pick on Jason Jones all day long, but this Jason Jones character, he might seem like a great student in your class, and he tells you, I had no idea, oh, I didn't understand. You really believe him, and you're like, you know what, I should probably just talk to this guy and not refer it to our office. We might have had 5 other incidents with Jason Jones from 5 different departments. So he's played the same song and dance with history, with English, with psychology. If that's the case, Laura and I keep track of it in our database, and if it really is a repeat offender like that, we're not going to buy that, oh, I didn't understand, because we've already told him, here it is, black and white, here's our policy. That way, if that's occurring, we know about it and we can take more appropriate action. Oftentimes, you're right. If a student doesn't understand, it's very appropriate to sit down with them and explain and have a one-on-one and elaborate about what they're supposed to do, and that does usually take care of it. However, we like to be able to keep track of it so we know whether or not it's occurring over and over and over again. Oh, yes, absolutely. And that would be an excellent thing that you would want to include in the referral. When we ask if you've had a meeting with the student, having discussed this, we would love for you to say, I sat down one-on-one with Jason and here's what we talked about. He indicated this was accidental. He didn't mean to. Again, so we've got 3 other referrals that say the same thing. We're going to start to question Jason. Yes.
I'm not absolutely sure on, I think misconduct occurred, but I'm not sure. Are we saying that I'm not sure that it happened, or I'm not sure that what happened was misconduct? And this is the thing. You're giving a multiple choice test and you give different versions of the test, and here's someone who just gets a terrible grade. He does have almost all the right answers to the other version of the test, but how many of them are almost all, you know, and I'm looking at this going, this guy cheated, you know. He's copying off the guy next to him. He got a 29 on the test but he's got all the right answers to the other version, but not quite all the right answers, right? So this is now not a question of, well, definitely copying the answers is misconduct, but I don't know if that's what happened.
Right. That's something refer to our office. Because again, that's something that we're going to sit down and talk to the student about. We're going to say, help me understand why, and it might be helpful to us if you said 70% of their test answers are identical to this test version. He sat right beside his buddy, who I know they're friends outside of class. All of that information, if you had it, would help us. But we would sit down with the student and say, help us understand why an alarming number of your answers are right to the other version of the test. And this is what we think might have happened. Let's talk about it. And there are times that we have conversations with students like that. And once we meet with the student, once we investigate, once we gather the evidence, we decide, you know what, yeah, it was suspicious, but I don't quite think maybe you violated our policy. We would talk to you about it. Also, in some of those hard to decipher situations, oftentimes Laura and I refer them to a discipline committee. So there's a panel of faculty members and students who they make the call about it. We think sometimes that's the best option to pursue. But that would be something, yeah, that way it's not all on you whether or not you made the right call. You've now got the Judicial Affairs Office and our entire process backing you up. Does that help?
So I had a related question to that. So that's your next step then? If you can't really make that determination, you pass it to the faculty committee or the discipline committee? Or
Oftentimes, if we have a very difficult, and cheating is the best example I can think of, because Laura and I, unfortunately, do not have a lot of students who come in and say, heck yeah, I cheated my pants off. Like, I know I cheated. Throw the key away. I'm done. Usually it turns into a he said, she said, or a he said, and they're both saying they didn't, but the evidence says otherwise. That's tough. If they both come in and they both seem believable, they both seem like what they're telling me is the truth, but I know the evidence shows someone cheated, we will usually send those to a discipline committee. And it's a committee that's trained out of our office. It's a university committee, comprised of faculty members and students that we train to hear these types of cases. So yes, that would be one that we probably would end up sending. Just talk. And I apologize, I'm a little bit under the weather today.
The other thing that we do is when we get a referral and maybe it ends up that we don't have enough evidence to find them responsible, is that it was still educational for them. And because in this line of work, we have to become very comfortable with there are students that we find responsible for violations, and excuse me, maybe violate policy, but we're human, and vice versa happens. There are students that get away, so to speak, and we're pretty convinced, my gosh, we know they did this, but the evidence doesn't support it. But again, we hope that the process of having to come under the student is educational for them. That's what we
What we tell ourselves so we can sleep at night.
Well, we call a minor offense, we talk to the student, and we do submit the form because that's policy. Would you still follow up with that student? Still talk to that student?
Absolutely. When you make a referral, that guarantees that student is going to, at the very minimum, have a one-on-one with myself or with Laura. You get stuck with one of us.
So it's a good thing if we tell them somebody will contact.
Exactly. And what we do, just so you all are aware, is once we get that referral from you guys, the next step on the student end is that we have access, we can look at their class schedule, we have their information all in Banner. So we send them an email and a letter. The letter goes to whatever home address they have listed. So at home, the only address they have listed is Tampa, Florida. It's the letter to Tampa, Florida. But we do that hard copy letter and we send an email to their MTSU account saying you have a specific time and day that you're required to meet with myself and Laura to discuss this matter. And a lot of our conversations, they really are educational in nature. We're trying just to get students to better understand, learn from their mistakes. I had a lot of students tell me that they just thought they wouldn't get caught. I never thought I'd get caught. I thought I could get away with it. So having those educational moments, even if we don't find them responsible, it makes them think, ooh, okay, I'm kind of on their radar now. I need to be more careful. So, great questions. Just feel free to throw them out as you guys have them. Another one that we want you all to be aware of is this part C really helps you guys. Here's worst case scenario that we've seen happen, unfortunately, more times than we would like, is that we have a faculty member who handled an incident of academic misconduct on their own. That means they did not refer it to our office. They think, faculty member thinks that they've worked out a great agreement, a great arrangement, everything's good. Get to the end of the semester, and that student earns a D. That student is livid that they earned a D, and they go to the grade appeals committee. And it might be that they earned a D because that academic misconduct educational moment that you guys had with them, you took some points off the grade or you reduced the assignment. Maybe you gave a 0 but let them stay in the class, but you did it on your own. You didn't refer it to us. They can now go to the grade appeals committee. The grade appeals committee is going to say, what did judicial affairs say? Because if it comes to our office, we have them sign off on this. We put it in writing that our decisions, once we've found them responsible or not responsible, that decision is final. It's done. It says they cannot go to the grade appeals committee for an academic misconduct discipline issue. So what happens is if you handle it on your own, it's going to end up going to that grade appeals committee. They're going to ask, did you send it to us? And when you say no, they're going to say, well, we can't hear this until you go through the discipline process. And it takes much longer, has a lot of headache for you and for the student. So that's another reason that we like for you guys to send them our way, because then you don't have the option to go to the grade appeals. It's final, it's done once we've made the decision. Yeah.
I was going to say this for later, but grade appeals made me think of this. I've had a case in the past where a student was found responsible, and according to my syllabus, the student who cheated on an exam gets an F, and there was no doubt that the student admitted it, and then the student went and withdrew from the class to avoid the penalty of F, and I didn't know that they could do that. And apparently, I was not able to appeal that grade of value. And I'm going to tell you this, but not tell you who it is, but one of my colleagues who has learned that the students have figured out that if they get an F in a course for cheating and there's still time to withdraw, that they can do that to avoid that penalty, actually knows of someone who cheated in a class and is waiting till after the W date has passed to tell the student you did this, and now there's nothing you can do about getting out.
Yeah.
I think that that's foolish, but I certainly understand it. Is there any way around that? I mean, can we prevent a student from withdrawing?
Okay, we knew this would come up. Right now, the way our policy is written is that no, if you refer someone to our office for academic misconduct, it's before the drop date, and your recommendation is they should get an F for the course, if they want to withdraw, there's nothing we can do. And that is policy that is beyond our office that dictates that.
Can we not fill out a change of grade form?
We do not have that kind of authority, unfortunately. I wish that Laura and I had more.
Nope, fine.
But yeah, that's something that if they withdraw from the class before the deadline, and again, even if you guys wanted to give them an F and it's the day before, if they withdraw, there's nothing that we can do about it. And I know that
But this is a dangerous policy to say, I'm gonna wait, on the calendar. I've got all the evidence here in my door, I'm just not saying anything, and just wait.
that is the first I've heard, well.
And I can't tell you who it is, because you'd be really mad.
We don't want to know, we don't want to know.
Well, and that's,
Did you want to add to
well,
it
that's,
real quick?
unfortunately, that's the way, that's a TBR, it's a rule, and we were hopeful with these rule changes that are gonna be coming out, that was gonna be changed, and we suggested that be changed. They actually changed it, but now what it will say is that a student cannot withdraw pending the outcome of the judicial disciplinary process. So the way we interpret that is, and again, I love the TBR.
They're fabulous.
They make. But if the way we interpret that is, okay, we get a referral early in the semester, we process it, we handle it, and it's finished, that the student can then go withdraw because it's processed, it's not pending, it's not in progress. So really it doesn't change anything unless it's the referrals that we would get later, which those students couldn't already because they were past the date. So it's just that it's another gap in the people that make the legislation and the rules and the people that practice, that's an issue.
I was gonna ask, the student still gets entered into your database.
Absolutely, yes.
So,
As soon as you make the referral, that student gets entered into our database. Now, we might find them not responsible, but we still have them entered in our database. Again, sometimes it's a red flag to us if we have Jason Jones who's been referred 10 times and we didn't find him responsible, but why do people think you are so many times? That's still going to be, again, another learning opportunity, hopefully for the student, another educational moment where we're going to sit down with him and talk about it and discuss it. But yes,
you'll slow down your process.
So when you say in your database, they could have dropped the course before a decision or a determination was made, is that right? Is that what you mean by there's nothing you can do at that point? Is there any really effect on the student then of having been called in if they end up dropping the class?
absolutely. If the student, let's say that you refer someone to our office for academic misconduct, let's say plagiarism. Okay, so for plagiarism, and the student decides, oh man, yeah, I know I did this. I'm going to hurry up and withdraw from the class because I know that Dr. Melton's policy is that I'm going to get an F in this course. So they're like, haha, I'll beat her, and they hurry up and they withdraw from the course. We still proceed like normal. We oftentimes don't know they've dropped your course. We have no idea. So we just proceed like normal, and it could be at the end we find them responsible, and guess what? Yeah, you withdrew from Dr. Melton's course, but we suspended you from all of your classes, and the rest, that could be a sanction. So we're still going to take appropriate action, whether it's a written reprimand, whether it's disciplinary probation, an educational sanction, suspension, expulsion, whatever we do is still going to happen regardless of whether or not they withdraw from the course.
I didn't know you could do something else. I mean, I didn't know that you could suspend a student.
There are two sides when you make an academic misconduct referral. There's the side that you all deal with, and that is you guys get to decide what grade is appropriate. So you all have that written into your policies, like we spoke about. That happens. On top of that, they're coming in our office, and we're deciding, should they be suspended? Should they be on probation? Should they be whatever we think is most appropriate? So it is almost a double whammy when a student commits academic misconduct because they're going to have those two things happen. Some type of grade penalty usually occurs within the classroom from you guys. And then on top of that, we have what we call disciplinary sanctions. And sanctions can be any of those things that I've been referencing.
And of course, when the student leaves the class, they do lose the money that they spent on it. There is there is a
Exactly.
consequence, that might be seen there, so there's some level of justice.
Exactly, there is, that helps us all
And
sleep
it's better
better
than it
at
was
night.
years ago whenever, students could take more than whatever, class they pay the same amount. Now that they're paying exactly for each class, this actually does, they know that they get for this. And they have to then take the class over again.
Yes, exactly. But they do, I had a student just last
Yeah.
week
Yeah.
complain
and
about
they were-
that. Yeah, a student told me, oh, I'm actually dropping this, and I just lost $600. And I'm like, well, expensive lesson, but shouldn't have done that. Yeah. So, let's see what else we haven't.
Go ahead and talk about when a student refutes the charge that it's sent to the committee, because there's some concern of the faculty's behalf that we're making decisions about the class.
Absolutely. Want to make sure you guys understand. We take your all's opinion and your whatever you're saying, your thought. We take it very seriously. Okay. So when a faculty member refers something, if you think someone really has cheated, really has plagiarized, Laura and I are not going to sit in our office and meet with a student and say, gosh, this student was sweet and fine. Let's find him not responsible. We're not going to do that. So oftentimes, if a student comes in, though, and let's say, again, we'll use the plagiarism example, and is adamant that he did not plagiarize, but you are adamant, yes, he did, I know he did. Those types of cases where you're adamant that the accident misconduct has occurred, the student is adamant that no, it did not. And they're telling us their side, we've got your side. We oftentimes won't be the sole person that makes that decision. That's another example of when we would send someone to that disciplinary committee because we think that there is strength in numbers. It's not just one person making that decision. It's a panel now of faculty members and students that have been trained to hear these cases that are now going to make a decision. And when that happens, if that does occur, we will have you typically come as a witness for the university, so a witness for me or a witness for Laura, and the student will be there. Basically, one of us, will say me this time, it's my hearing, I'm going to explain the referral you made, explain why the student is being charged with plagiarism, and basically kind of summarize. The student will then give their side and summarize why they're saying they did not do whatever they're being accused of, plagiarism. I will probably call you in as a witness to say, Professor so-and-so, can you please elaborate on this charge? How did you know? Where did you find this? What red flags came up when you were grading their assignment that indicated it was plagiarism? And then at the end of that hearing, that panel is going to make the decision as to whether or not the student's responsible or not responsible. If you have a case that you refer to us and you know the student did commit active misconduct, and if on the off chance they're found not responsible, we want you to know that we don't make those decisions lightly. It usually is going through a hearing, or at the very least, we're talking to you about it, we're calling you. We're not just going to, on a whim, say, yeah, you thought this happened, we don't, and just find them not responsible. There's a very long process that we go through to ensure that everyone, both sides, the student and the faculty member, are being treated fairly and going through the appropriate steps. Does that help cover?
That is not at all the perception it comes down to.
Yeah, that's what we were afraid of.
Our faculty sent a representative to issue this email that was not particularly well worded, and it's this firestorm of email. How dare they, which means you, take away our, I got enough libertarian colleagues.
That's why we wanted to clear that up and tell you guys.
That's one of the big misconceptions. I can tell you about 99% of the time, if you have a student that comes in and says, I didn't do this, and there's a shred of a chance we're going to send it so that we have faculty members telling the faculty member they're not responsible. It doesn't make them really happy because we're still the ones that have to deliver the decision, make the perception when you tell them that there's a committee is that we somehow did that. And I, quite frankly, there have been cases that are beyond my scope. I've had cases in science, in math, that I'm like, I don't understand any of this. I couldn't understand that I have to have a faculty member come in for me because I can't make the argument about this content. And we've encouraged our faculty senate president to sit down and understand how the process actually works, but that's
You know, I mean, this is a common perception. It's not mine. I've been here since 2001, and I've had pleasure of success with nothing else. I mean, I always tell students I've got 100% conviction. I've heard from other faculty members, you know, who haven't. I suspect in some ways it's because they are at fault. That they've either not made their guidelines clear or they've not provided enough evidence.
So, yeah.
You know, so I think really in some ways the perception is actually inaccurate. And actually we are at fault and generically that, you know, simply, because I think for a lot of faculty members, well, this is plagiarism, here, take it, fix it. And that's what you send up. And it's that kind of typical faculty attitude, I know everything and this is clear. I had a sad case with a colleague of mine, I was his mentor, and he ran through you guys there, and I think he just presented really some bad cases. He took it horribly to heart and really kind of ate it, and then he's gone. There. But yeah, it was like his, it was, you know, pretty much his fault as it came out, you know, there. And so that's what I say, you know, to the faculty senate and things like that very much. I think faculty members need to look at themselves first and understand in some ways we don't have that kind of dictatorial life, you know, and I really don't want it either. I mean, I like the way the process works.
I'm in the music department, they'll like to do this.
Yeah, no, we are.
Well, we appreciate you saying that, just so you know.
Yeah,
Not everyone says that's
since I'm
gonna
one,
be.
you know, and every so often you get a packet. This is the first time I actually met you in person. You know, periodically I send you a packet of things you handle and things like that, so it's nice to see you guys in person. But as I said, I've had, you know, no problem. You know, I felt everything's worked the way I wanted it, things like that. I think everything was just. You know, so.
Sometimes it's a relief if you send two students over there with exactly the same wrong verbatim answers on the test. One of them wrote it and one of them copied it. The only question is, did the other one let them?
Right.
And I don't want to have to decide that. I'm glad when you send it back saying we found X responsible and Y not responsible. It's like, okay, good, we figured out who did it. Right.
When we make
kind of a
decisions,
relief.
it's never anything personal. We're supposed to be the third party that's unbiased. We don't know the student. We might know your name, but we don't know you as the faculty member usually. We are making this unbiased decision based on the evidence. Here's what the evidence said. Did we have enough to find them responsible or did we not? So it's nothing personal, it's just did we have enough? Dr. Melton's example she gave earlier on was a great one about the cheating case. You've got, well, these answers look similar to test version A, but you had test version B. I'm not sure if it happened. Sometimes we get cases like that from faculty members, and they're not sure if it happened, but then they get so frustrated with that student that by the end of the process, they are determined, they know they cheated now. Well, if the evidence doesn't show it and a committee doesn't feel like it's possible, then they could be found not responsible. One thing you all might want to know about is our standard for finding a student responsible is preponderance of the evidence. And what that means is that we have to have 51%, which actually is a really low standard, but sometimes those cheating cases are tough. When I get a cheating case and it's clear someone cheated, that's 50-50. I'm just trying to tilt the scales one student or the other to figure out which one actually did it, which one let them, which one cheated, vice versa. But that's the standard that we're trying to find them responsible for. Great, thanks, guys. I think we've covered part 4, which was what happens when I refer a student for academic misconduct. That just talks about we send an email and a letter from our office. That meeting they come in, we go over all their rights. One of the ones I think is most important for you guys to know that we go over with is that the decision's final. They cannot go to the Grade Appeals Committee. They cannot appeal it once it's all said and done. At the very end, just to let you guys know, once the case is resolved, we will send you an email letting you know the outcome. The outcome being whether or not they were responsible or not. So I think that's why some people, some professors, faculty members do not know that we can suspend or expel. And that's because FERPA, Educational Rights and Privacy Act, said that we're not really supposed to share the sanctions. You all just need to know were they responsible or not. Because if they're responsible, your grade recommendation stands. We don't share the sanctions.
That's why we don't know that.
Exactly.
Tell us.
Exactly. That's why you wouldn't. Yeah, you check your email and you get the update from us. You're just going to have this nice, unfortunately, generic email saying, Dr. Melton, I have met with student so-and-so. She has been found responsible for academic misconduct. And we put like a generic statement usually saying appropriate sanctions have been issued. It sounds so cold and impersonable, but Laura and I are not permitted to share the details of their sanctions unless it somehow came into play with you. Like we sanctioned them to have a one-on-one meeting with you. We'd let you know that, hey, heads up, by the way, student coming your way. But that's what we'll do at the end. Some faculty members will find that it might be they refer a case to our office, and after a week or two, they get an email saying, hey, we're all done, here's the outcome. Other faculty members, I don't know if you guys have had this experience, but it could take 6 months. It could take, we've had some, a year and a half, because what happens is that if a student, for example, is accused of plagiarism, and let's say they just disappear. They ignore our emails, they don't come in, we put a hold on their account, which means that they can't register for classes, they can't take grades, they basically can't be a student until they come in and meet with us. But if they decide to take a year hiatus and go to China and join the Peace Corps and then come back, that could be why it takes so long for you to hear something from us. It could just be that we're bogged down and that it might take a couple of weeks because we usually get flooded around right after you all give your lovely midterms, right after you guys give your finals. That's obviously going to be a busy time for our office because academic misconduct tends to increase around then. But if it takes a length of time, longer than what you think it should, there's probably a reason. You can always email us and say, you know what, hey, I haven't heard about Jason Jones. What's going on with him? I was going to assign a grade and wanted to know what was happening, what was going on. Most certainly you can follow up with us and we can explain why you haven't heard from us. Usually, a couple weeks after you refer it, you're going to have an email letting you all know the outcome. Don't come back and they end up with a job, they can go ahead and assign a grade. Right. I don't know if you guys heard Laura's lovely voice there, but if they do that, they leave, don't come back, you can go ahead and assign a grade. If you feel like, yes, I know this student probably committed academic misconduct, therefore I'm going to give them an F for the course, you haven't heard from us yet, you can go ahead and assign that grade, most certainly. If on the off chance, however long later, we find that student not responsible, you just would have to then go back and reassess the grade that he or she would have earned. Does that make sense? Good to know. And that covers number 5. We'll be able to find out what happens to the student I referred. We love the answer of yes and no, and that's where we say, yes, we tell you whether or not they're responsible. No, we can't explain the sanction.
That's our TBR answer.
Yes, I think that's going to be our standard answer to everything, yes and no. And then this last part, 6, when a student is found responsible, are they automatically suspended or expelled? That's another myth that goes around. For some reason, students think this myth exists any more than faculty
That's
members
because we tell
do.
them that we do.
And we do sometimes like for students to think that's automatically what happens. Just a healthy dose of fear sometimes is a good thing. But no, we've talked about this before, but everything in our office is on a case-by-case basis. So just because you do X doesn't mean you're automatically going to get Y. Everything is circumstantial. It depends on the evidence, the student, their attitude, how many times have they been in our office. All of those factors come into play, and we take them into consideration. Will a student...
Amanda, we go ahead and talk about if we recommend suspension, then they don't have to accept it. So at least it's...
Yeah, just so you guys are aware, things I take for granted because we do it every day. But if we recommend suspension to a student, they don't have to accept it, okay? Everything less than that, it's our decision, it's final, we're done. If we recommend suspension or expulsion, a student they automatically will get some more due process. And they can say, I do not agree with that. And that is something, again, where they're usually going to go to a hearing. Discipline committee is going to hear their case. It's not just us making the decision. It also is signed off on by the Vice President of Student Affairs. So it's not something, again, suspension cases, sometimes it might take longer to resolve those. So you might not be getting an email as quickly as you'd like, because sometimes those can get a little bit lengthier and drag on. But those are some exceptions to what we've talked about. Will a student found responsible for academic misconduct automatically fail the course? And that's where we've already touched upon this, but you guys get to decide. We just will put in our sanction verbiage, our wording will say that whatever grade the professor issues is final. That's what we say. So whatever you end up deciding on, we respect that decision and we'll enforce it by telling the student, whatever your professor deems appropriate, that's it, we're done, final grade.
Question about that, Amanda?
Yeah, absolutely.
Of course, you would recommend that that would have already been spelled out in the syllabus If it's not, can I just make up the?
We strongly encourage, and this is for your all safety, and you guys probably know this, but we strongly encourage that you have in your syllabus what your recommendations are. So if you commit academic misconduct in my class, you will be referred to judicial affairs and receive an F for the course for it and receive a grade reduction. You can put whatever you want in there, but we strongly encourage that you have that so students know where they stand from day one if they commit academic misconduct in your class.
Just to follow up then, it's better for us to say academic misconduct than plagiarism, right? Because I see a lot of
Correct.
plagiarism statements, but it really should be broader than that.
Correct. You really want to make sure that you're encompassing all those things that I showed you at the very beginning, those four. We think it's great to go ahead and put that in your syllabus and talk about academic misconduct at MTSU per the Students' Rights and Responsibility Handbook is defined as, and just copy and paste straight from our website, plagiarize away from our website, but take our definition, academic misconduct, 1, 2, 3, and 4.
My syllabus says you cheat my class, you'll get an F. That just says that. But I have had moments when I have regretted that. I'm obligated to do that if a student's found responsible. True?
Now, if that's what you have, and that's what you've said, you do want to be consistent, because I think you'll find that students will challenge you if, we just had this come up last week, where a professor had that in their syllabus, and then with one student they did that, but with another student they weren't doing that. Oh, that is a nightmare.
Students talk.
And then the students talked to each other, and student A found out that student B got treated differently. Ooh, that didn't end up too well. So we encourage you to, whatever you want to put in your syllabus, if you want to give yourself some leeway, you know, professor's discretion that a grade reduction of some sort will be assigned, do something like that, but you've got to be consistent. So you want to make sure that you're treating students the same, because my gosh, they will definitely talk when they find out, you went to judicial affairs too, and you got this, and I got this. Oh, I'm going to the chair, the dean, the president, who knows, People Magazine.
I always have followed up, but sometimes I felt really bad about it because I thought there's a difference in cheating on an exam and cheating on a lousy 5-point pop quiz or something.
Exactly.
Yeah. Which I have in mind in conditional. I actually have some cases where I say, on this might do this might do this. But I keep my little conditional. I tend to also try to treat things on an individual basis. I had one young woman a couple years ago who very much took ownership. I did this, I know this, whatever else. I was really impressed with her, so I kind of reduced what I was doing there. I felt I had to leave way to do it. The two other people I didn't, because they were not contrite. She was very contrite and things like that, and I was very impressed with what she said. So I just kind of catch the conditional and give me some work completely. Because like you said correctly, not every cheating thing is worthy of kicking the person out of the university. There are different levels to it in all sort of ways. It's not like Hammurabi's law for wherever they're dead. So you don't have. I don't think you want to set something up like that.
Exactly. And we don't want to tell you guys what to do. It is your discretion. But just like we said earlier in one of these points, is that with us, it's on a case-by-case basis. It depends on the circumstances. I would think probably with what you all see, it depends on the circumstance. If it was a measly, 5-point homework assignment, that's a big difference from their final essay worth 75% of their grade. So I think it does depend on the circumstances. But great questions to ask. Okay, a lot of faculty members wonder, number 8, will this process require a lot of my time? Here's where I'm going to say yes and no again, because we love that answer. Now, I think that filling out the referral form, going online, it doesn't take that long. It's a short form. We're not asking for everything under the sun. But it does require some additional work on your end. We do want you to kind of document to show us. It's how much work you make it, though. Some professors I've seen really spend a lot of time on these cases, and they are bound and determined to really put a lot of man hours into it. If it goes before a university discipline committee, again, it's going to take up more of your time because we're going to ask you to be a witness. That's only because it makes the case stronger to have you come in and explain, here's what I see. Let me show you why I feel like this student committed academic misconduct. Again, Laura talked about we get cases. I'll never forget, I had a graduate level biology course. I'm a liberal arts person. It is not my forte. Everything was written in these funny numbers. I had no idea what I was reading. They could have committed all sorts of academic misconduct, and I would never know because I thought it was written in a different language. I had to have that professor come in and explain to to the committee members as well what they were looking at. If this funny formula actually was identical to this funny looking formula as well. And so that takes up some time. You have to be prepared that if it goes to a hearing, then yes, you need you to physically come to the hearing and be a witness. Usually that takes up maybe an hour of your day, give or take the length of the hearing. But the majority of our academic misconduct cases are handled administratively. And that means they're sitting one-on-one with myself and Laura in our office. We make a decision and we're done. And that means the only time that it took you was the time to gather the information, to document, to fill out the form, and then refer it to us.
And to our students' benefit, we do have a healthy amount of students that come in and just fess up. They may not fess up to their instructor, but they'll come in and be like, yes. Or we have students that come in, typically students that are not very experienced will come in saying, I did not do this. But then when we sit with them and break down what it actually is, and we talk about how they did the work, then they'll say, oh yeah, I did this. Because unfortunately, we have a lot of unprepared students who.
For example, when you talked earlier about all students who didn't understand plagiarism, for example, they didn't know what they were doing with plagiarism. Some students think that as long as you have a works cited sheet at the end, you're done, that's it, fair game, I don't have to do anything else. And so when they come in, they've told you and they've told us, no, I didn't. I did not commit plagiarism. I did not do this. Once we sit down and we have a 45-minute conversation about what plagiarism actually is and we show them, by the end they're like, oh, okay, yeah, the light bulb's going off. So I did plagiarize. Huh, that's funny. I still didn't mean to, but they understand now that they did commit academic misconduct. So sometimes we try to work with students about their perception and their understanding about what actually constitutes plagiarism, cheating by our standards, not by their standards, by the university standards. And how much evidence do you need to accuse? We've talked about this kind of on and off. But what we want you guys to take from this is if you're ever in doubt, if you're ever not sure, it doesn't have to just be you making that decision. There's supposed to be a system in place where you guys refer it to us, and then we make the call. If you're not sure, send it over and we'll take a look at it, and we'll let you know whether or not we feel like, yeah, you know what, there's enough, and this student's found responsible, or you know what, there wasn't quite enough. I understand why you sent it, you definitely should have, but it was 50-50, and we don't think there was enough evidence. Stronger the evidence, we will say that makes the case go quicker. So again, it helps so much to have all the information that we possibly can. We've kind of jumped around a little bit and talked about what do I need to do if a student drops the course. Again, still refer the student. Even if they turn in an assignment, they withdraw, okay, so they're no longer your student. Then, 2 weeks later, maybe you're grading papers, and the student who withdrew 2 weeks ago, when you're grading their paper, you feel like they committed academic misconduct, still refer it to our office. So even though they're not a student in your class, they're probably still a student by our definition at the university. So still send it to us. And again, we talked about this on the form. Are you required to meet with a student? It's your choice, but we're going to strongly recommend that you at least let them know that you're referring them to our office. And that is just because it helps our process immensely when a student comes in and they understand, okay, yes, I know I'm here to talk about this class with this professor, this incident. I've had some students come in, well, which incident of plagiarism are you talking about? Which time do you mean? And we're like, oh, geez, we just have the one, and we're going, okay, that's a problem. But again, it just helps us. And then we talked about, should you decide to meet with them, you want to follow procedures, let us know what you talked about. If you work out any kind of arrangement or you say, well, I'll do this, let us know, put it on that form.
I do want to point out that it is not acceptable to bring a student into your office and say, if you confess this, I will not send you the prescription. We've had cases of that, and that's problematic. So never ever make that kind of arrangement with a student where, oh, you just say you did this, then we'll handle it and I won't send it over there, because that will come back to bite you very hard. And that's a bad situation.
I feel like the ugliest situation we saw with something like that was a professor who made that arrangement and said, I won't send you. Then what happened is at the end of the semester, the student went to grade appeals. Grade appeals said, what did judicial affairs say? And then it came back that the professor had made that agreement, that arrangement. So, again, it's just safe for you guys. It takes the pressure off of you all and puts it on someone else. Why that's us now. I don't think that's But this kind of, again, goes over some steps to help you if you do decide to meet with the student, let you know a little more.
And the other issue is the whole, you tell me what you did, and the students sitting there looking at you. And sometimes they know what they've done, but sometimes they have other classes. They may have cheated somewhere. They honestly may not even remember what you're asking them. So it's okay to say, this is what I'm concerned about. It's right here. Don't think that you kind of have to hide. We've had professors call and be like, well, I didn't show them. I kept it hidden for you. And it's like, no, we can show them. We don't have to hide it.
It's their work. They can see it, and it's helpful if you show them. And here's their paper, and then you've got another one, and it's all highlighted in yellow, and it says, look, everything yellow is word for word verbatim from this paper. That way they can see it, and then when you refer to us, you can say, this is exactly what I'm going to send a copy of to Judicial Affairs. You can discuss this with them, but it helps the student, and it helps us. Laura and I, sometimes we don't know whether or not we're coming or going or what we're saying or what we're doing because we get so many cases and get flooded all at once. It helps us if we don't have to read a 12-page paper on Darwinism and the theory of who knows what. If we don't have to read that 12-page paper 15 times to find out where the plagiarism happened, it's just highlighted and it's easy.
I just wanted to say, I'm not sure everybody realizes that we now have the Turnitin software is available to all faculty in their courses, and the report that is generated has it all color-coded as to what source that was pulled from. So when you're saying about bringing a report, if you would all, if you bring the Turnitin report, it would have all those things highlighted where that's coming from.
And that helps us.
But it's still really important to remember that the Turnitin just compares words to words. It doesn't look at whether you have the quotes done correctly. It doesn't have, so just because the Turnitin report comes out that it shows 70%, similarity to another one, it doesn't automatically mean 70% of that paper is plagiarized. It really means that you as a faculty member have to review that with that thought in mind that 70% showed up similar to something else. So I mean, I can see now that we have Turnitin both helping and hurting your processes, because if they're not interpreted correctly, I could see it really hurting things. But if it is used correctly and used as a learning tool with the students, it could really help things.
And I'm so glad you said that second part, because that was something I was going to touch upon. Turnitin is great, but then we also have some issues we've seen. So exactly what you said was dead on. One other thing that I will just briefly say about Turnitin is that if you use that software and it is saying that it's identical to another student that's been submitted, it helps us if you submit both students so that we can see. We had a professor recently who said, this paper is 94% identical to another student, but it'll take me some time to go back through and find that other student. So here you go, here's just this.
The Turnitin does not tell you whose other paper it is similar to.
Exactly. And that's,
so, yeah, a faculty member can't really tell that who the other one is.
right.
Now, if you have two papers in the same assignment, you can kind of see, because, I mean, the same things would be highlighted on the papers, but you can't automatically say that this paper is, Joe's paper is 70% similar to Fred's paper by just that Turnitin report.
Right, and that's where we actually, in this case, had to ask the professor, could you go back and try to find, because the student was saying, no, I haven't plagiarized. Turnitin, no, who did I plagiarize from? I was like, well, I don't know, but Turnitin said it's someone out there that he wants had. So it does help us if we, in this case, we just went back to the professor and said, could you try to find this student? And he was able to fairly quickly find that other student, and now we're actually going to meet with both of them because we want to know, did student B help by giving the assignment to student A? So thank you, though, for that caveat. I know we're running short on time, and we promised Tom that this time around we were going to stay within our time limits. One last thing at the very end, is the student allowed to stay in class while the case is under investigation? We get this question a lot. Big, absolute yes. This one's not yes and no, it is yes. And that is because on the off chance, if the student's found not responsible, you have to go back and then give them the grade that they should have earned. And so you want them to stay in the class while the process is going on. Again, just in case. A lot of times if it's clear cut, you know they're going to be found responsible, just let us finish our process, but they need to stay in class while it goes on. Any questions about anything that we've talked about, covered? We are really trying to stay within our hour because we know everyone's time is limited.
What if the student stays in the class and your decision hasn't been made when grades go in?
Then you can go ahead and issue an F if that's what, if you feel like they've plagiarized and they've committed academic misconduct and you're waiting on us to finish up, but grades are due, you can go ahead and do an F. If on the off chance they're found not responsible, you just have to go back again and reassess the grade and assign what they earned.
This is a question that would take too long to answer, but I just wanted to bring it up. But we've been talking about all the ways of kind of catching and making sure that, you know, students are punished appropriately or whatever. But
We like sanctions and
Yeah.
punishment.
Yeah, okay. But we haven't talked about ways that we could reduce the likelihood of academic misconduct occurring. And I know that's a topic for a whole other workshop. It would be very interesting to hear your thoughts on it. But my question is, what's the way I would handle an issue like that is I wonder, and you're in between the faculty and the students, you said that before, what are the student perceptions of academic misconduct? That is, how have they figured out, have you gotten a sense of how students have figured out how to beat the system, so to speak? I mean, what are the students, is it, I mean, my perception is if I can get away with it, I'm going to do it. I mean, is that, where are the students coming from to help us as faculty if we're going to try to discourage that practice?
There's a couple of things. Our students, because of the things that they see in society, don't perceive this as a big issue at all. And when you have to talk with them at length about the ethics and morals behind the concept of taking someone else's work, and they don't perceive that as an issue, we have larger issues at hand, but a lot of them have that perception. I'm paying for my grades. I'm paying to get a degree. I still did the work. It was work for me to go find that someone else did it.
I worked hard to teach.
And so they don't necessarily see the problem in it. And that's the hardest. Those are the students that it's difficult to deal with because in a short amount of time, we can't sway their ethical beliefs and whatnot about what is right and what is wrong.
We can't be their moral compass as much as we can tell them what they should do. It's up to them to decide. What's easier for Laura and I to work with are the students who really don't understand. And I will say we have an alarming number of students coming in that really do not properly understand what plagiarism, for example. Most students, you know what cheating, they know what it is. But plagiarism, they struggle with it because some of their high school teachers are not really informing them of exactly how strict the university, what our standard is, that we hold it to a much higher standard than our high school did. And those are the ones that we try to reach, that hopefully you all are trying to reach. Laura and I do, we speak to the University 1010 seminar for first-year students to acclimate to college. We speak to as many as we can get to, but Laura and I are supposed to be doing discipline meetings one-on-one with students, and so we can only reach so many classrooms outside of our normal job functions, but we try to talk to as many as we can just to explain our process, what plagiarism is. We talk and try to reach as many different groups as we can, but we also encourage faculty members, whether it's just putting in your syllabus and saying, here's what it is, here's the definition, and maybe you take 10 minutes the first day of class to really explain it. But even those little steps help, because those are the ones that we know we can make a difference and kind of change their perceptions. The ones ethically, those are harder.
Because of technology, it's in their defense, it's easier for them to make mistakes. Whereas when I was in college and wrote a paper, I'd have to go to the library. I'd have to get the book off the shelf, and I'd have to sit down, and if there was something that I had a note card, or I had a piece of paper, and I'd write it down, and I'd go ahead right then and capture the author, because I knew I was gonna have to put it, these kids cut and paste, and they've got all these different screens up, and they've got their paper that they're working on. And for a lot of them, it comes down to proofreading. They have tried to do their paper, and for the most part they have, but in their haste of doing their paper, they've forgotten this one part that they took from somewhere. And they don't remember that they took it because they cut and pasted it. You know what I'm saying? They don't have the note card. And so we're always talking to them about, proofreading and being careful, and you still have to do those things.
Fortunately, faculty don't do that.
That's one point we're trying to make with introducing Turn It In to everyone, that we're encouraging faculty to use a draft Dropbox and let students run their papers through the Turn It In, with them being able to see the report, so that the student could see, oh my God, this whole paragraph here, Turn It In said I plagiarized it, but I didn't, I got it from this book here. Oh, I forgot to quote it correctly, or I forgot to do this. So they can use it as a learning tool before it's the one that gets turned in, and Turn It In is a gotcha tool. Exactly, and that's fabulous, and that's what I think faculty members, they should be utilizing Turn It In for as a learning tool for students, because those individuals who, wow, I really didn't mean to, those are the ones that we need to be meeting with over and over and over again, because they accidentally left off one paragraph that they didn't cite. Those are the ones that if they can correct it and realize it on their own, they need to be more careful.
And the papers look different. I mean, we get papers and it's one paragraph, it's one sentence, versus this whole thing is verbatim. And those are the fun kids that usually come in and say, I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, okay. And I'll read a sentence, and then I'll read a sentence, and I said, did it sound like you? I don't know how that happened. Well, the whole paper's that way. I mean, so there's a big difference in the students that I think are trying to get well over, and the ones that aren't. And then our students, again, I mean, we have students working 30 plus hours, parents, some of them are just completely strapped, and we tell them, tell your professor, ask for an extension. Don't turn it in, take a 0 instead of doing this. But they're out there panicking, and so they go cut and paste the whole paper and turn it in, so they have something to turn in. And briefly, even though I know I just have to share this story, my favorite is a student who turned in a paper identical to his roommate. They are word for word verbatim, and his reasoning to me when he came in and met with me was, I think it must be that osmosis stuff. We sleep in the same room, and I was looking at him, and I'm like, did Laura put you up to this? There's a camera in here, because I am not buying that because you all shared a pillow once. That somehow, we get very interesting stories from our students. I just had to share that one. It's one of my favorites. Thank you guys. And if any more questions, feel
Stay for a
free.
little bit after.
Stay after, ask us questions. We love it.
Thank you all for coming in.
Thank you guys.
And educating us in your conditions.
I think cut you
No,
off. His question was perfect, and I was hoping on that. I'm always looking for